Good afternoon, everybody. It's Monday, June the 5th. Welcome to ADJ211 for the summer semester, John Tyler Community College. Today I'm going to go over some of the syllabus requirements, some of the more important things that I want you to keep in mind for the next 8 weeks as we go through this criminal law evidence and procedures book. By now, you should have logged into Blackboard, and you should start to figure out the dates, the due dates, when everything's going to be due. Start to figure out your own organization system on how you're going to successfully complete this course. But I've set it up for you in a very chronological order. I know it's the summer. I know we're going to have some things pop up here and there. We'll open up some of the modules early so you can get them done. But it's very important that you read the chapter every week. This is a very heavy terminology-based course, so you're going to need to be familiar with the terms, especially some of the keywords and the main terms, important parts of each of the chapters. There's a weekly there's a chapter 10 question quiz every week. Depending on the week we're doing, we're either doing 1 or 2 chapters on each one of them. They're pretty straightforward questions. Those of y'all who have had me either online or in person before know that I don't make my questions purposely tricky. If you know the material, you know the material, and that's what I want to know from you. So if you want to follow along real quick, I'm going to pull up the syllabus, and I want you to be familiar with it. You can go over it yourself as I'm going through it, but it's posted over there on the left toolbar here on Blackboard. So pull that up. Let's start looking at that real quick. So again, like I said, ADJ211, Criminal Law Evidence and Procedures for John Tyler Community College. New this semester, if you want to do a Skype or a Google Hangout type of thing, you need a face-to-face meeting with me. This is going to be easier than trying to correspond, I think, back and forth on Blackboard, or even back and forth on emails, 6 or 7 email chains. So I can set that up. I prefer Google Hangouts if you have ever used that before. You already have access to it using your John Tyler Community College email. That's a Google-based email. So you would log into that, go in where you would pick the different Gmail options, and you can go to Google Hangouts. What I would do for that is if we come up with a date and time, I'll send you the link to start the chat. We'll just agree on the date and time to go over whatever you might need some clarification on. We might even do some extra credit or something like that with it later on this semester. So typically my online office hours are Mondays, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's where if you need me, you can get me in there. So that's where we would probably do the Google Hangouts, but we can make it work wherever. You should be very familiar with the course textbook. I already sent that out. You can get that either in a digital copy. You can get that at the John Tyler Community College bookstore, or you can get that, through another means. There's plenty of them out there. Just make sure you have the book. I hope you have it by today already, because we are starting the first chapter today. You can read the objectives yourself, but we're going to try to familiarize you with some of the core concepts of criminal law and criminal procedure. This is a very in-depth textbook. It's a really good textbook. It's a good course. However, it can be a little confusing if you don't familiarize yourself and do the reading and the PowerPoint review like you need to every week. But it is Criminal Law and Procedure by Moore and Morale. Like I said, I already sent out that email there. So we're going to skip down. Let's go down to the attendance policy. This is an 8-week online course, so we're not, sitting in class 2 or 3 times a week for an entire semester. This is a very quick course that we're going to go over, in a very short amount of time, in 2 months here. So you really need to make sure you are keeping in task with the discussion board forums. Again, we'll go over the specifics to that here in a minute, but that's how I gauge your attendance policy, or your attendance through the attendance policy, is through your participation in discussion boards and the completion of your quizzes. It's 8 weeks. They're not going to have time to be doing a lot of makeup work, so you're going to need to self-pace yourself on this course. Again, I'll set it up for you to follow along chronologically, and it's set up for you to succeed. You just need to put the work into it. We'll go over the course withdrawal date here in a little while. There's a mandatory drop date after the first week if you haven't done any of the work. I will have to drop you from the course, but we'll go over the last date to add and drop later on. Down to the third page, let's talk about some of the basic course requirements. Well, we already talked about one of them. You need to read the chapter. We're going to end up reading this entire book. Okay. Again, very terminology based, law, procedure, evidence. It's very, very terminology based. So you have to have the understanding of those core concepts so that you can build upon those. I've already posted all of the PowerPoints for all of the chapters to help you kind of guide along with some of the main points. But please do not rely on just the PowerPoint. The chapter is very important. It is a very clear definition in each of the chapters of the terms that we're going over. You need to make sure you are working on these discussion boards every module. So like this week, we have 2 modules. We're doing Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Therefore, you will have 2 different discussion boards. They're already open for you to start perusing. Each discussion board for each chapter, each module requires an original forum posting before the end of the module. This requires you to answer one of the 3 questions that I posed for you to discuss with your classmates. This will be your original posting, minimum of 300 words. If you use any citing of any outside sources, you need to make sure it's an APA format. If you have any question about APA format, let me know. These forum postings shouldn't be straight from the book. They shouldn't be copy and paste from a website. That's called plagiarism. If you're quoting someone else's work, you need to cite it. If you're just copying and pasting or regurgitating what the book says, that's not a discussion board. That's literally just typing word for word what's in the book. So, if the question is, what does the Fourth Amendment lay out, and we're talking about search and seizure, I don't want you to find a website and copy and paste search and seizure and then think you're done with your discussion board. This is meant for you to discuss. So, if you need to discuss, what search and seizure is, it's going to be you talking about the Fourth Amendment impact on search and seizure, how it's important to this course, so forth and so on. It's supposed to replicate us having a discussion in an in-person traditional course. So don't take it lightly. They can be fun. You'll see that we have many different backgrounds, many different opinions, and feel free to share your opinion. That's what makes it good. Think about any of these in-person classes you've had over your lifetime and how good they can be when we have open discussions in class. That's what we're going to try to do in the Blackboard. So within that module, you have to have one of your original forum questions answering, one of the questions that I posed for you. And then after you've posted that original one, you'll be able to view everybody else's post, and you have to respond to at least 2 classmates. So you should have at least 2 responses to 2 individual classmates. Okay, so not just 2 different answers to somebody in one thread, but if you're replying to student A, then you need to reply to them with at least 100 words, more than just, hey, that was a great post, or I agree, or I disagree. Make it like if we were actually having a discussion, like, hey, I liked what you said there. Did you think about this? Hey, I didn't like what you said there. What about this? I agree with what's going on, currently in this policy. I think this is where it could go for, later on in the academic studies of this topic. Not just, hey, you did a really great job, and I enjoyed reading it, because we all have taken online classes before and we've read those same postings over and over again. I'm grading you on that, so if it's a bunch of what I would call fluff, you're not going to get the full amount of points necessary for your discussion board. That being said, each module, again, 1 original forum posting, 2 responses by the end of the module. Anything turned in late, there's no points associated with it. So while that module is open, most of them are at least 3 days, if not 4 days. You're required to do one of each of those things I just told you. So 1 original posting, 2 responses. Moving on, each module, each chapter essentially has a 10-question multiple choice quiz. Again, very straightforward. Those will not be done late. They are open during the times that the module are open. They are also mobile compatible enabled. So if you can't get to a desktop computer, they are made so that you can use the Blackboard app on most Android and iPhone, iOS devices. If not, you can actually log in using your web browser on your phone, your tablet, whatever, and complete the 10-question quiz. Again, they're multiple choice and true, false, very straightforward questions. Okay, we will have a midterm and we will have a final in this course. The midterm is between the times of July 3rd and July 6th. Yes, I do know July 4th. The 4th of July is in that time period. However, that's the midpoint for this course. You have the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th that you can take that midterm on. So you can either do that at the John Tyler Community College Testing Center or any other Virginia Community College system testing center that's allowed. So if you were at a different college or whatnot, you can do that as well. Or I would recommend those of you all who have the ability to do so, ProctorU. There's information on ProctorU is there that allows you to do it at your leisure, on sitting at your desk, on your couch, whatever, and take the exam just like you would be taking it at the John Tyler Proctor. However, you're being monitored by a third-party proctor system. If you have any questions on that, let me know. It's pretty self-explanatory. I think it's proctoru.com. All that information is on the left toolbar. So here's our course calendar. I've already sent that out. We're literally going in order. Chapter 1 through Chapter 15, discussion boards, quizzes, midterm, final, and you can successfully complete this course. Your grade going down to, I believe we're on page 4 here, your grade is comprised of 25% discussion board participation, 25% weekly quizzes, 25% midterm, and 25% final exam for 100% of your total grade. So you can follow along with your grade as you go throughout the semester and keep an eye on what you're currently doing. Grading scales, your typical, 90, 80, 70, 60, A, B, C, D, F. I hope we have all A's and B's. That's the goal this semester. But you guys are going to need to make sure you put that work in these 8 weeks. Makeup policy is pretty much a no-no in this 8-week course. It's too short of a course. It's not, your 16 weeks. It's a half the time you normally have to do it. It's all online. It's all self-paced. You can do your work at noon. You can do your work at 8 p.m. You can do your work at 4 a.m. I don't care when you do it. Just make sure you're getting it done. Some important dates to remember. Today, June 5th, our class has begun. The last day to add and drop on these classes is June the 7th, so it's Wednesday. The last day to drop with a refund, if for some reason this course isn't for you or any of your other courses isn't for you, is June the 3rd. Don't forget that you don't have to worry about July 3rd because this isn't an in-person class, but July 4th, the college and the testing center is closed. So you cannot take the in-person test that day, but you can take it on ProctorU. And then the last day to withdraw is July the 10th. The class will go all the way to August 1st when we finish our final exam. I shouldn't have to go over it, but this is an online class. I expect you guys to be posting your original work. That means no Wikipedia. That means no, Google. What does Google say? And copy and paste. After a couple weeks of reading your writing, I'll know kind of how you write. So if I see something that doesn't look like you're writing, if I see something that the font is messed up on, if I see something where the background is a different color and it's pretty clear that it's been copied and pasted, I will do a search through the academic safe assign. We'll be looking for plagiarism. If you copied and pasted it, it's just as good. It's just as the same as if you were to turn in somebody else's work, because that's somebody else's work. So if you do use someone else's work, you need to cite it. That being said, everything that's on the internet is not always true. You should know that by now. That depending on someone's point of view, you can find something probably that will match your point of view online. That doesn't mean it's right, especially when we're talking about criminal law and criminal procedure, criminal evidence. You got to make sure what you're talking about is right. So if you just Google, what's the Fourth Amendment, you'll probably get the quotation of the Fourth Amendment from the United States Constitution. However, if you start talking about policies and people's opinions on it, who knows what you're getting. So again, be very careful about what sources you're using. Safest thing to do is to use the John Tyler Library Academic Source Complete, looking for peer-reviewed articles, because you're getting good peer-reviewed work. You're not getting some crazy internet post of someone who knows nothing about what they think they're talking about. Moving on, if you need help, the Academic Resource Center is open during the summer. Go to their website on John Tyler's website. They tutor all different ranges. They have criminal justice tutors, they have math tutors, they have English tutors, they have writing tutors. If you need that help in there, they're really good to help you kind of point your studies in the right direction. Considering this is online, I can't sit down and help you other than on the face-to-face. So please take advantage of the Academic Resource Center if you can. That being said, we'll skip down. If you have any accommodations, disabilities, you need to let me know, and we'll work with those. The biggest thing to end up the syllabus review here is treat people, and especially on these discussion boards, treat people how you would want to be treated. So we all know at this point, what it's like to read a text message, what it's like to read an email, what it's like to read a discussion board and not understand necessarily where the person was coming from. Sometimes we might take it personally, sometimes we might disagree with it. However, this is a professional environment. This is a professional academic environment. So I'm going to assume, and I'm going to expect the same from you, that everything we're writing is going to be respectful, valuable. We're going to make sure that we appreciate where other people are coming from. Okay? A wise man once said, you know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know, right? So I'll leave you on that, let you think about that for a little while. Sometimes people's opinions can help shape your future thought. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make our post very reasonable. We're going to make our posts very thoughtful. And we're going to try to replicate like this, having a good in-person discussion of each one of these modules. Okay, so that's going to wrap up the syllabus review. Again, it's week 1. We're starting on module 1 and 2 in week 1. The course calendar is already laid out for you to go by. Again, email me, post in the discussion board forums, set up a face-to-face on Skype or Google Hangouts. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. Other than that, make sure you start working on your introduction discussion board post to let us know who you are, and then make sure you start working on that Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Thank you guys, and let's have a good semester.